to go ahead and continue our media availabilities. We're now joined by Chase Briscoe, driver of the number 19 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we will get a mic over to you. We'll start down here with Zach and then we'll go to Chris.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Chase, coming back here a year removed from your Southern 500 win and understanding what this track has meant to you personally throughout your career, what does it mean coming back here and having that on your resume?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's cool, just the confidence that comes with that, and just, you definitely don't realize how big of a deal, I guess, it is when you do it. About a year removed, it definitely feels like a bigger deal. I still have a group chat with the 14 guys, and we were literally talking about that this morning, just how when you look back at what we did a year ago, it's crazy. Like, we were proud then and thought it was a big deal, but now being a year removed and all of us are at different places, it really kind of sank in, I think, for all of us coming back here, a year later. So yeah, it's special coming back here. I definitely have confidence every time I come here, just in general, but especially now more than ever. Just with knowing that this race is as grueling as it is, and knowing that I've been able to do it before. There's just a confidence that comes along with that. So yeah, hopefully can do it again this weekend.
You also have the rare chance to sweep the polls on the Crown Jewel races this year. Is that something that you thought about at all? Has that been a focus since winning the pole at the Brickyard?
I would say, I didn't even realize that nobody, I think, done it 3 times until after the Brickyard, and then, obviously it was a big deal then. And I will say I looked at the weather earlier this week, and I was bummed at first when I saw that it was going to have a chance of rain. And I told James and them, I just at least want to have a chance. So yeah, it's a big deal. Just to do the first time. To be the first at anything in NASCAR is hard to do, I feel like, especially, 76 years into it or whatever. And yeah, it'd be special for sure if we could, do all 4.
We'll go to Chris, then to Dustin, then to Jordan.
Chris9catchfans.com. Hey, Chase, what's your mindset going into the playoffs? Are you relaxed? Are you tense? Are you nervous? Or, you just seem really relaxed and ready to go? Or are you just putting on a face for us?
Nah, I feel like that's normally how I am. Yeah, it is what it is, right? There's way more to life than truthfully the playoffs. I'm going to try to do my best and win it all. But, at the end of the day, there's way more things in my life that are important, as far as, being the best husband and father and man I can be, right? But, yeah, I definitely think that, for me, I'm going to, lay my head down 10 weeks from now and know that I put the best foot forward I could and put 100% effort into it. And if that's enough, it'll be enough. And if not, then it won't be. But yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity. This is the first time that I've ever legitimately felt like I could win a cup title. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting thing, I would say, more than anything.
We'll go to Dustin, then Jordan, then Reed.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Hey, was talking to James yesterday, and one of the things I asked him was, for this place, did they have to adjust more for you based off your success? And he said he felt like you guys kind of got a little bit derailed in the spring race because they were maybe chasing some things that you were wanting, and have kind of adjusted to, here's how it is, trust us, and feels like that's kind of worked better. Can you talk about the process? Obviously your input still matters. I'm not trying to say that, but just this process and trying to take more from them and what you can provide them.
I think, definitely all year long, once we've kind of got established, right, we've definitely went into the mindset of, hey, look, we know this can be successful. We're not saying drive the thing like Martin did, but, these are some things that the top guys are doing. Try to kind of morph yourself into this. And that's obviously worked for us almost everywhere this year. Darlington, I would say that if we could go back, we're back at Darlington, right? But the spring race that was our worst race of the year. We were doing a lot of things different, so it's hard to really say from that one. But I know for sure a point of emphasis this week for us has just been, into 1, for example, I run a very kind of unique line compared to a lot of guys. I run really, really low, and we kind of got ourselves, I thought, in a bad spot. Definitely in the spring, looking back on it, just with how I was driving and the setup and stuff, it wasn't really meant to be doing that. So, yeah, it's definitely been a point of emphasis for us this week of, I have to be open-minded about how I come here. And truthfully, every time I've came here, you always are having to change stuff up. But, yeah, I would say for us it's been kind of business as usual as far as our approach to this weekend and just our prep work of, hey, this is how the car's going to be. This is kind of the optimal line we think you need to run. Obviously, if you need to change it, you can, but this is how you probably need to try to start the weekend driving, and this is the line you need to try to run.
And also just how I don't know how you feel James helps you and how he pushes you, because I think he talked about sometimes there's a little bit more needs to be pushed, and so I get the sense that he's, I'm not going to say force his way on to you, but maybe been a little bit more forceful at times.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I mean, James and I think what have made us so good to this point is we are total polar opposites. Like, he is very high intensity, just I'm the complete opposite, right? Like, I'm very laid back and relaxed all the time. So yeah, I think definitely James has kind of learned that balance of, I need to be able to get on to him, right? But there's times where, it's too much or not enough, and he's kind of learned that balance. I feel like even just in 26 weeks of when to push him, when not to push him, when I'm already kind of at my peak of pushing myself. And yeah, I think we've done a really good job, for how new we are as a team together to be able to have the success that we've had. And, truthfully, I think if you ask myself and James, we feel like we're probably only 80-85% of what we're even capable of. So yeah, hopefully the sky's the limit, and yeah, curious to see how this weekend goes for sure. Yeah.
Go to Jordan, then to Reed, and then in the back to Nikolai.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What has been the approach for the playoffs this year different compared to what it was when you were with SHR?
I would say I don't know. It's hard. We've yet to, me and James have yet to even sit down and say, look, this is what we have to do these next 3 weeks. We've honestly acted like it's just another race weekend, and if we go and run top 5, we're going to be able to move on. But I would say from a feel standpoint, it just feels different because at SHR, it literally just felt like you were on house money, and if you got eliminated from the round of 16, at the end of the day, it was probably still a successful season that you at least made the playoffs. Where here, if you just make the round of 16, it's not a successful season. It's kind of a failure. So that part of it is really the thing that feels different. Is at JGR, it's expected that you make the playoffs, and we've just checked the first box of many of what we need to accomplish this year. Where at SHR, if you could just make the playoffs, that was a successful year in itself.
Some teams do big kickoff kind of things, pep talks, motivational speeches, bring in guest speakers. Anything like that at JGR this week? Did James give a talk? Did you talk to the team? Did the organization as a whole do anything?
Not that I was a part of. And like I said, James and I have yet to talk about hey, the playoffs are starting this week. We need to focus on this for the next we have literally acted like it is a normal week. I texted the group chat this morning and just said, look, fellas, 10 weeks are the best weeks we can do, and we got a legitimate shot at this thing. But other than that, that's about the only pep talk that we've had. Yeah, thanks.
We'll go to Reed, then to Nikolai, and then down here to Mark.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. So given the expectations, which was the more high-pressure situation, win or bust last year to get into the playoffs, or starting the playoffs here now?
I would say probably starting the playoffs, just because last year, nobody expected us to come in. And truthfully, I think even as a race team, we weren't coming to Darlington and be like, oh, man, this is our weekend. That's just at SHR. You couldn't really ever go to the racetrack saying, we're going to win this weekend or have a shot at it. We knew that we would be good just because we'd always been solid at Darlington, but I don't think we thought we were going to have race-winning speed per se. So, yeah, I would say this weekend feels more pressure-packed than, a win-or-go-home situation, just because we all kind of had made up our mind that we were probably going home anyways. And then it just so happened, we won the race and we were in.
Go ahead, Nikolai.
Nikolai Kolb, go full throttle. Chase, with last year the win in the Southern 500 with Stewart-Haas, now that we know that it's for sure Stewart-Haas's last Cup victory, what does that mean to you to be Stewart-Haas's last Cup winner and for it to be on top of that, the Southern 500?
It's special, still for me, you kind of saw it in the emotion last year when we won, just the fact of getting the 14 car back in victory lane was a big deal for me, and you know, having it have a shot at least a championship. So yeah, to be a diehard of a Stewart-Haas fan in general that I was, and to know that, I mean, not that there's going to be some history book on Stewart-Haas racing, but the fact that, you know, this diehard Tony Stewart fan as a kid, you know, ended up being the guy that won the last ever Cup race, you know, in the Stewart-Haas 14 car is pretty cool, you know, just to know that. And, you know, Stewart-Haas was such a big part of my life. I was there for, you know, 8 years between the Xfinity and Cup program, and to know that, you know, I was the last person to win there, it's definitely special for sure.
We'll go to Mark.
I'm Mark Garrell, PRN. Chase, I look at your stats for the last 10 races as we get ready for the final 10. Been really good, got a win, 3 runner-ups, but when it's not been top
it's
5,
like 15th to 25th.
how do you? Is that a thought process of how to level that out, or are you just shooting for the wins and the runner-ups and hope everything turns out okay?
I mean, we definitely need to even it out, and some of that's just been, you know, just unique things. Like, you know, Indianapolis, we're going to run top 5, and I pit with 2 to go, and you end up 18th or 20th or whatever it is. Richmond, we were going to run top 5. You know, we have a 18-second pit stop, the last pit stop, and you end up 13th. Like, a lot of those, we probably, if we would have just executed right or had a clean finish to the day, you're going to run top 5. But certainly it's been odd just how our season has been like top 5 or 15th on back. Like, there's really no in between that. I think we have like 10 top 5s and 11 top 10s. That just tells you it's always either top 5 or out of it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, certainly the beginning of the season, I think a lot of those results were just us learning each other. But here at the end, we definitely just need to just finish the days out. And that was something at the beginning of the year that was a little bit of our issue. We just wouldn't start the day well, but we would finish it well. And now it's kind of the opposite. We've started well and haven't been able to finish it. So during the playoffs, you're definitely going to have to, you know, put full days together and be able to capitalize on those runs. So hopefully we can do that.
Are you concerned about the roller coaster nature of the season, and you can't really afford that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm concerned. You know, I definitely, at least not in the round of 16. You know, I feel like if we can have the speed, you're going to get stage points. You're going to be able to, you should be able to point your way through. But certainly if we can get to that round of 8, like, that's where it becomes an issue really, really quickly. So, yeah, I guess I am slightly concerned, but I know that we've had the speed, and, you know, a lot of teams would be killing to have our speed, right? So it's just a matter of putting all that speed into execution. And, you know, if we do that, I feel like we're as good as anybody.
We'll take one final question in the back from Dave.
Dave Moody, MRN and Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Is part of that search for consistency, and I hear a lot of drivers talking about it, is that due to the fact now that with this car and with the parity in the sport, if you make a mistake in any given race, you don't finish 13th anymore, you finish 33rd? Is there something to be said for that we need to maybe adjust our expectations?
A little bit. You know, it definitely, there's just way more people on the lead lap now. The field's way tighter. You know, it definitely, that part of it is different than what it used to be, at least. So yeah, maybe a little bit. You know, just in today's, you know, current state of Cup racing, yeah, I think you probably do see a little bit more of that often, where, you know, guys are either running top 5 or top 10, or, you know, if they have an issue, they're 20th on back, just because that middle ground is, you just can't drive through the field like you used to be able to. So yeah, I would say that is some of it, just how tight the field is and the amount of cars on the lead lap, and, you know, even honestly the lack of DNFs. You just don't have a lot of guys out of the race anymore. You know, you used to, you know, if you finished dead last on the racetrack, you were going to run 28th or 27th. Now it's, you run 36th. So yeah, I definitely think it you know, makes a difference for sure.
All right, Chase, thanks for your time and good
Yeah,
luck this
thank you.
weekend.